Before we begin, if you want the reflection guide for this episode, subscribe at privateleadershipreset.com. And I'll send you the quiet override guide. Welcome to the Private Leadership Reset podcast. This is a show for capable leaders who look steady on the outside, but privately feel the cost of leadership rising. Here we examine the internal friction behind decision drag, over-explanation, second guessing, and forced momentum. Not for tactics, for less negotiation. So leadership can feel clear, calm, and owned again. A leader I know spent 3 days in a certification training. Their company paid for it. Their calendar was blocked. There was nothing to produce. No deck at the end, no deliverable, no one waiting on an output. Just a room, an instructor, and material to learn. And something strange happened in that room. They noticed they were less tense. They spoke up in the group discussion without running a check on how they sounded before the words came out. They were present in a way they hadn't been in a long time. There were knowledge checks at the end of each day, and they finished first both days. Every answer suitable. Same performance, same result, none of the usual costs. They came back from that training with a question they couldn't put down. If the results were identical, what exactly had all that pressure been doing all along? And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. I want to start with what's not happening here. You're not underperforming. This isn't the problem we're looking at. If you're listening to this show, the results are there, the projects move, the numbers land. People bring you the difficult thing because you're the one who handles it. Nobody's questioning your output, including you. What you're questioning is the price. You finish the week, and there's nothing left over. Not exhaustion exactly, something quieter. A little bit more intangible. You did everything you said you'd do, and you can't locate the satisfaction that was supposed to be attached to it. You're already scanning the next week. You may have even noticed you're the hardest voice in the room, and that room is inside your own head. Your director doesn't talk to you the way you talk to you. The board doesn't. Your own manager, if you have one, has never once said the things you say to yourself at 11 at night about the meeting that went fine. That gap is worth looking at. And this isn't because your voice is cruel. It's because it's redundant. And here's what I want to propose, and I want you to hold it loosely for the next 15 minutes. Some of the pressure you're operating under isn't coming from your job. It's coming from you. And it may not be doing anything. Let me name it plainly. There are two sources of pressure in your work. There's the pressure that already exists, and there's the pressure you manufacture on top of it. The first kind is real, and it is external. Deadlines exist, quarterly targets, they're real. Your CEO has expectations. Your team is waiting on decisions. Customers don't care about your internal state. Now, organizations are extremely good at generating pressure. It's one of the few things they do reliably at scale. The second kind is private. It's the layer you add, the tightening in your chest before a routine update, the rehearsal in the car, the version of the email you write, delete, and then rewrite when the first one was fine. The internal voice that says, this has to be perfect or something is going to come apart. Nobody assigned you that layer. You did. And here's the analogy I keep coming back to. Picture a house that's already connected to the grid. Power's coming in. The lights work. The refrigerator runs. Everything in that house has electricity. Now picture a generator running in the backyard of that house, running constantly, all night. You hear through the walls. You buy fuel for it every week. You maintain it. You've organized your life around the noise to that point, and You no longer notice it. And the lights were already on. This is self-generated pressure. It's not powering the house. The house was already powered. It's running because at some point you decided the grid couldn't be trusted, and you never went back to check. I want to be careful here because there is a version of this that sounds like I'm telling you to care less, but that's not what I'm saying. The generator was installed for a reason. For most leaders I work with, it was installed early. Achievement was the currency at home. You did what you were told, you did it well, and you received a signal back that you'd done it right. This is a functional system. It works beautifully for about 25 years. And then you become an adult, and nobody assigns anything anymore. No one hands you the standard, and no one tells you what good looks like, or even what good enough looks like. So you generate the standard on your own. And because you have no external reference point for what's reasonable, you set the standard higher than anyone else would have set it for you. One leader I know described the years after that shift as feeling untethered. Not lost, but untethered. Nothing holding the line in place. So you hold it yourself with everything you have, all the time. The generator is not irrational. It was the only way to stop the noise. But notice what has happened. You're now on a roll with structure, real deadlines, real accountability, and real consequences. The external pressure is not just present, it's abundant. And that generator, it's still running. So what is the actual cost for you? Well, it's not the results. This is the part that keeps the whole thing in place. Your results are good. That's exactly why you've never seriously questioned the machinery underneath them. The cost shows up in three places. First, it costs you your own read on your own capability. You've never once run the experiment. Every result you've ever produced has been produced with pressure attached. So you have no data. You genuinely don't know whether the pressure caused the outcome or whether it simply accompanied it. Now think about revving the engine at a red light. Sitting there, foot on the brake, engine roaring, and the light turns green and the car moves. Did the revving do that? You might believe it did, because you've never sat quietly at a red light and watched the car move anyway. The revving the engine feels causal because it's always present. That's what's happening with your effort. The pressure is correlated with your success. You've concluded to be the cause. And you can't disprove it without letting go, which is precisely what the pressure exists to prevent. Now, second, it costs you the margin. You're riding the brake and the gas at the same time. The car moves. It goes exactly where you point it, but you're burning fuel to fight yourself. The brakes are running hot, and you arrive at the destination having spent double. That's why the weekends with nothing left. Not because the work was too heavy, because you did the work and fought yourself while doing it. And only one of those two things was on the schedule. Now, I've heard leaders describe this as being their own worst enemy. I think that's close, but I don't think it's quite right. It's more like being your own second job. The work is one job. Managing yourself through the work is the other one. And you're only paid for one of them. Third, and this is the one I think a lot of us underestimate, it costs you your presence. Go back to that training room. The thing the leader noticed first wasn't the score. It was that they could speak in a discussion without monitoring how they sounded. That's what the generator drowns out. Not your competence, your availability. When part of you is dedicated to running the pressure, that part's not in the room. It's not listening to the VP's actual objection. It's not noticing the person across the table has gone quiet. It's not catching the thing that would have changed the decision. You're competent, but you're half absent. And you've been getting away with it because the competent and half absent still clears the bar in most rooms. It clears the bar, yes, but it doesn't feel like leading. I'm not here to tell you to stop pressuring yourself. That would be one more instruction delivered to a person who's already excellent at following instructions and who would immediately begin creating pressure about how well they're doing at not generating pressure. I've seen this happen. It's a loop that eats its own tail. This is not a discipline problem. You have plenty of discipline. This is not the missing piece. This is a subtraction issue. And subtraction starts with evidence, not effort. So here's what I'd offer. Find one container this week where external pressure is already sufficient. It should be low stakes, and it should be a place where the work is going to happen regardless of what you do internally. A weekly report someone actually reads, a one-on-one that's already on the calendar, a meeting you've run 40 times. Do the work. Remove your layer. Not the standard. Keep the standard. Remove the manufacturing. No rehearsal in the car, no pre-meeting tightening, no third pass on a document that was finished on the first. Then look at the result. That's the experiment. You're not trying to feel better. You're collecting data on one question. Did the outcome hold? Because here's the thing about the leader in the training room. They didn't talk themselves out of pressure. They didn't read a book or reframe a belief. They ended up in a room where the pressure was structurally impossible. They performed exactly as well as always. And the belief couldn't survive contact with evidence. They said something afterwards that I haven't stopped thinking about. If I'm not valuing my own experience, I won't count that experience as value. And if I'm not counting that, it can feel like I don't bring anything unless I can point to something that I produced. This is the root of it. The pressure it's a receipt. It's proof you tried hard enough to deserve the outcome. But the receipt was never the thing. The results are the receipt. They always were. If the results hold without the pressure, then the pressure was never the reason. It was a story about the reason. And you've been paying for that story every single day. 3 questions to sit with this week. Where's the external pressure already more than enough? What would you have to believe about yourself to stop adding to it? And if the results held anyway, what would that mean about the last 10 years? And it's this last one, it's the difficult one. And it's difficult because it implies a cost that's already been paid and can't be recovered. I understand why you might want to avoid it. But you can't decide what to carry forward until you're honest about what you've been carrying at all. Momentum without force. That's what this show's about. It's not about less ambition or lowering standards. The same output produced by someone who's not fighting themselves to produce it. That's what this is about. If this episode landed for you somewhere specific, I'd ask you start with the friction assessment. It's a short set of questions that'll show you where the effort in your leadership is going and whether it's going anywhere useful. And you can find it at ryanwattscoaching.com/friction. If you found this useful, share it with a leader you know who does excellent work and never seems to enjoy it. This has been the Private Leadership Reset. I'm Ryan Watts. Thank you for listening. For some leaders, hearing this podcast will be enough. But if something felt familiar, and you know leadership has started to cost more energy than it should, the Private Leadership Reset may be the next right step. This is a private coaching container for capable leaders who want to reduce internal friction, restore calm authority, and make cleaner decisions without forcing momentum. It's not about adding more strategy. It's about restoring internal agreement so leadership feels clear, steady, and sustainable again. You can learn more and apply at ryanwattscoaching.com/reset.